When most people think of tyrannosaurs, their minds immediately leap to the colossal Tyrannosaurus rex, the king of the late Cretaceous. Images of towering predators with bone-crushing jaws dominate popular culture, often showing T-Rex locked in a life-or-death struggle with ceratopsians like Triceratops, as vividly illustrated in the image above. Two predatory dinosaurs, jaws open wide, stand over the fallen body of a horned herbivore. It is a timeless depiction of predator and prey in the age of dinosaurs, a reminder of the brutal and awe-inspiring world these creatures once ruled. Yet, while T-Rex rightfully commands attention, its dynasty was not born in the Cretaceous. The lineage of tyrannosauroids stretches much deeper into time, and one of the earliest members of this family was a far more obscure predator, Kylskis, a Jurassic hunter that stalked the forests of prehistoric Siberia nearly 166 million years ago. Kylskis, whose very name means lizard in the shore language of Siberia, may not be as familiar as its mighty cousin T-Rex, but its significance in evolutionary history is enormous. Living in the Middle Jurassic period, Kylskis existed over 100 million years before T-Rex ever set foot in Cretaceous North America. To put that into perspective, modern humans today are temporally closer to T-Rex than T-Rex was to Kylskis. Such a time span is staggering. It reminds us that the reign of dinosaurs was not just long, but nearly incomprehensibly vast, with lineages rising, diversifying, and evolving over hundreds of millions of years. In the following, we will explore the life and times of this enigmatic dinosaur, shedding light on its unique characteristics, the environment it inhabited, and its place in the grand narrative of tyrannosaur evolution. Join us as we journey back to the heart of the Jurassic and uncover the story of the first tyrant, a predator of the Siberian forests. Fossil remains of Kylskis were discovered in 2010 within the Etat Formation of western Siberia. This discovery was groundbreaking because the fossils represented one of the earliest known tyrannosauroids, shedding light on how this dynasty of predators first began. Unlike the massive tyrannosaurs that appeared later, Kylskis was modest in size. Paleontologists estimate it reached about 5 meters, 17 feet, in length and weighed around 700 kilograms, comparable in size to a modern polar bear. Though not enormous, Kylskis was nonetheless a formidable predator in its own environment. Its body was built for agility rather than sheer brute strength. With a long tail acting as a counterbalance, Kylskis could likely make rapid turns and maintain bursts of speed while chasing prey through the dense conifer forests and open floodplains of Jurassic Siberia. Its skull bore features that connected it to later tyrannosaurs, including a shape that suggested a developing lineage toward the deep, reinforced skulls of its descendants. However, Kylskis lacked the gigantic size, bone-crushing bite force, and tiny arms that would later define the likes of T-Rex. Instead, it represented an early stage in the tyrannosauroid blueprint, a swift, mid-sized predator honing its craft in ecosystems still dominated by other theropods and giant sauropods. The Jurassic world of Kylskis. The environment of Kylskis was strikingly different from the famous late Cretaceous habitats of its descendants. During the Middle Jurassic, western Siberia was a land of warm, temperate climates, where lush forests stretched across floodplains and river valleys. Vegetation was dominated by ancient plants, towering conifers, broad ginkgos, hardy cycads, sprawling ferns, and the ever-present horsetails. Flowering plants, angiosperms, had not yet evolved, so the greenery of Kylskis' world would have looked alien to us today, dense, primeval, and filled with the sounds of insects and reptiles rather than birdsong. The animal life was just as strange and diverse. Kylskis likely shared its ecosystem with early stegosaurs, armored herbivores covered in plates and spikes, as well as sauropods that towered above the forests. Small mammals were present too, though they were little more than shrew-like creatures scurrying underfoot, eking out a living in the shadows of the giants. Crocodile-like reptiles, amphibians, and fish thrived in the floodplains, completing a rich and dynamic ecosystem. It is unknown exactly what prey Kailskus hunted, but its size and agility suggest it targeted medium-sized herbivores, perhaps juvenile sauropods, early ornithopods, or smaller armored dinosaurs. Unlike the ferocious depiction of tyrannosaurs in the image, above tearing into a ceratopsian carcass, Kailskus meals likely were less dramatic, though no less violent. Swift ambushes, sharp teeth, and claws would have been its tools for survival in a world where predators had to compete fiercely for every opportunity. A link in the tyrannosaur lineage. One of the most fascinating aspects of Kailskus is its placement in the Tyrannosauroid family tree. Paleontologists assign it to a group closely related to Proceratosaurus, a small Jurassic theropod from England. Like Proceratosaurus, Kailskus may have sported a nasal crest, though the fossil evidence is incomplete, making this uncertain. If present, such a crest might have been used for display either to attract mates or intimidate rivals, rather than for combat. This trait, combined with other skeletal similarities, cements Kailskus as an early tyrant, a distant forerunner of the colossal predators that would one day dominate. The evolutionary journey from Kailskus to T-Rex is one of the most remarkable stories in paleontology. Over the course of more than 100 million years, tyrannosauroids grew larger, developed stronger jaws, and adapted to changing ecosystems. By the late Cretaceous, they had risen to the top of the food chain, culminating in apex predators like T-Rex, Daspoltosaurus, and Tarbosaurus. In this sense, Kailskus represents the humble beginnings of a dynasty that would one day rule the prehistoric world. The image of tyranny, past and future. The image shown above depicting two tyrannosaur-like predators tearing into a horned herbivore is a vivid artistic interpretation of what tyrannosaur hunting may have looked like, albeit from a much later period in Earth's history. Kailskus itself never encountered horned dinosaurs like Triceratops, since ceratopsians evolved tens of millions of years later in the Cretaceous. Instead, the illustration serves as a symbolic bridge, reminding us of the unbroken ferocity of tyrannosaur predators across time. Whether in Jurassic Siberia or Cretaceous North America, the tyrant lizards were relentless hunters, adapted to thrive in the ever-changing landscapes of the Mesozoic. The sheer brutality captured in the image, the open jaws, the bared teeth, the victorious stance over a fallen victim mirrors what life must have often been like in the Jurassic. Survival was never guaranteed, and predators like Kailskus lived in a world of constant struggle, where the weak were swiftly eliminated and the strong continued their lineage. A perspective on time. Perhaps the most mind-bending fact about Kailskus is its place in the vast timeline of Earth's history. The gap of over 100 million years between Kailskus and T-Rex is difficult to comprehend. If we think of time as a ladder, with each rung representing 1,000,000 years, then more than 100 rungs separate these two relatives. To put it another way, modern humans are separated from T-Rex by only 66 million years. This means that, in terms of time, we are closer to the giant predator of the Cretaceous than T-Rex was to its smaller Jurassic cousin. Such realizations force us to rethink our perception of prehistory. Dinosaurs were not just creatures of a single age, but of an immense saga that unfolded over eons' discovery and scientific importance. The discovery of Kailskus and the Etat Formation has provided invaluable insights into early tyrannosaur evolution. Its fossils, though fragmentary, include parts of the skull, jaws, and vertebrae, all of which have helped paleontologists reconstruct what this early predator looked like. Each new discovery fills in another piece of the puzzle, allowing scientists to trace the gradual transformation of tyrannosauroids from small, agile hunters into colossal apex predators. Kailskus is a reminder that paleontology is not just about the giants we already know, but also about uncovering the forgotten ancestors that laid the foundation for those giants. Every bone, every fossil, Every fragment tells a story millions of years in the making. Conclusion: the first tyrants. Though overshadowed by its colossal cousin, Hyliscus remains one of the most fascinating dinosaurs of the Jurassic. It may not have been the terror of its age, but it represents the beginning of a lineage that would culminate in some of the most iconic predators the world has ever known. In its forests of conifers and cycads, amid the floodplains of prehistoric Siberia, Hyliscus ran on swift legs, hunted with sharp teeth, and carried within its DNA the blueprint for tyranny. The image of tyrannosaurs feasting on their prey, whether in the Jurassic imagination or the Cretaceous reality, reminds us of the unbroken chain of evolution, where survival, adaptation, and dominance shaped life across millions of years. Hyliscus may have been forgotten by time, but in its bones lies the story of the first tyrant's small beginnings that led to giants.